Okay, let me have your attention, please. How was the test, okay?
So much fun. It was so hard.
It could have been worse.
So here's the deal.
I know.
We'll just see how you did, and then I'll make some decisions about whether we need to curb it. I'm always open to those things just because you did it independently, but I know you had a lot of resources at your disposal. To catch you up with what should be in your portfolio, everybody should have a pocket portfolio, one of those little 3-prong skinny ones, and as I said last class, all of your notes are going to go in there. And at the end, toward the end of the trip, I'm going to collect it, and it's a pretty significant score for having everything in there, all of it filled out, etc. Yes.
Hi. Is it okay if we? Well, not is it okay? Would it be better if we had like tabs to separate like each like section? You know what I'm saying?
If it makes you happy, you absolutely can do that.
Okay.
It's not necessary. Okay. So if you missed, I need everybody listening. If you missed last class, you were expected to go on It's Learning and watch the 2 30-minute videos and take notes on it.
Okay.
Everybody that was in class was also taking notes. So thus far, you should have the Canterbury Tales and Introduction to the English Language lecture notes handwritten in your portfolio. That was the very first thing to go in there. Secondly, the Canterbury Tales study guide. If you didn't fill it out, you should. To me, it makes sense to do it in preparation for the test than after the fact. And thirdly, the Canterbury Tales pilgrim chart, where you were to record details of each pilgrim as you read the general prologue. So those were the instructions given last meeting, and that means you have 3 total portfolio entries thus far. Your introductory notes to Canterbury Tales in the English Language, Canterbury Tales study guide, and Canterbury Tales pilgrim chart. Cool? For today, you will have the Wuthering Heights video guide. We're doing that in class. And then I gave you a big packet of questions and answers. They are to accompany your reading of Wuthering Heights. So you're going to fill them out as you go. And they are ordered by chapter. Some are short answer, some are true false, some are multiple choice. It's to make sure that you're comprehending what you're reading and that your brain is focused as you're reading and you don't fall into just blanket skim reading. And it also, for a very thick novel, helps you focus on what's most important from it. This is the book. Do you see how mine is falling apart? That's because this is my second favorite book of all time, topped only by Hamlet, which you'll do with me senior year. So it's fantastic, the character development. I want to take just a minute to make some comments about it so you know what to expect and how to progress. And I'd also like to tell you how to pace yourself. Pacing is important. How many of you, after your Canterbury Tales work, realize how important pacing is? You don't care. Okay. I heard in the lunch line yesterday some who had barely started or halfway through or had a few left to go. If you remember, with Canterbury Tales, I told you, like, you need 10 sessions. I put on It's Learning. You need 10 sessions between last class and this one to do Canterbury Tales work, and kind of broke that apart for you. So I'm going to do the same thing with Wuthering Heights. You're doing yourself a huge service by following the pacing guide. Then it never gets too overwhelming. I can't touch base with you regularly and make sure that you're on track with that. But with something this fat, you can't afford to wait till the week of the meeting to start Wuthering Heights, especially when you have 85 guided reading questions to answer as you go. Once you're over this, the rest is like coasting. It's pretty easy. If you chose honors credit, you have one more kind of big book to read, but it's not as laborious as this one. This one, though, is complex, but it's interesting, and it has something for everybody. Girls, I don't want to stereotype. If you like romance, there is some of that. And it doesn't, though, follow the 1 Corinthians 13 portrait of love. The idea of love in here is obsessive and weird, but in a strange way inspirational. If you can't handle that kind of stuff, you should know that this is not a romance. Although given its time period, a lot of people associated it with other romances. For some reason, Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre often get bulked in with Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility in those Jane Austen novels, but it's not a romance. It's actually a Gothic novel. So Gothic, you're thinking dark, eerie, mysterious. There are elements of, one might say, incest, supernatural, magic, digging up dead bodies. Like, there's some hanging of dogs. I mean, there is some gruesome aspect to this.
What's fun with how they did?
Let me bring you back in. I know it's so exciting. Can't wait to begin reading. Listen up, though. There are some gruesome aspects, but there's nothing that's going to turn your stomach and you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't read this. It's not like that. But what's most fascinating to me about this is this was written by a little preacher's daughter who lived in a very small village in a very small town, and there were 3 daughters and 1 son. The son was the classic PK rebel. And so he's into taking opium and drinking at the pub. You might very well be having lunch at the pub where their brother got toasted often. But you're going to go to their house. You're going to walk through it. It's the best museum on tour because Charlotte Bronte's itty-bitty dress is just hanging there. You can see how tall she was, how short she was, how itty-bitty her feet were, her gloves, the actual silverware they ate off of. It is, more has survived from this family than just about anything that we could look at in all of England. Mr. Shelton gets teary over it. I get teary over it. It's just, you feel so connected because, it's all still there, just how they used it. Why? Because the Brontes were arguably the most literary family ever to write, coming out of England. All 3 sisters published major works, and the brother was this incredible artist. Emily, you would be fascinated by some of Branwell's works. But what?
He was the drunk one?
He was the drunk one, of course, mad artist, So, Charlotte Bronte, have you heard of her before?
Yeah.
She wrote Jane Eyre. Has anybody read Jane Eyre? Seen the movie? Okay. So that one, while it has its darkness, it is also very spiritual in many degrees, and it has a really lovely ending, a great conclusion. Emily is the darker of the 2. So dark